everyone, welcome to my channel 100 Stories. Today I am going to present you story 7. An expedition gone wrong, as I promised you in the last video. But before that, I just want to thank you all so much because we reached the milestone of 100 subscribers. The first big milestone. Also, we reached 1000 views on story 1. Isn't that great? So, I just want to thank you all for that. Now the next goal is 500 subscribers and I am going to do something very special for that occasion. So to do that, you just need to subscribe my channel, the button down below. And also share, like, comment as well. Now let's begin. An expedition gone wrong. The time had come. A huge rush of adrenaline was going through Zhang Wei's body. Just a little more effort and climbing to do, and he would be there. It was a chilly day, and they were at Camp 2 of around 21,000 feet. They were ready to get to Camp 3 at the height of some 24,000 feet. Zhang Wei had come a bit away by himself, separated from his friends, to see the scenery alone. He stood in complete awe as he looked around. Mist was surrounding the mountains and the sun was shining upon them. Wei was going to complete his dream from very childhood. He was going to summit the highest peak of the world. The flush of excitement was indescribable. This was probably the happiest moment of his life. Hina Kirigiri had come from Tokyo with the same excitation and enthusiasm. She was a national champion of a martial art game called Judo. She had the same feeling as Wei. She too felt at awe about the trip, so close to the peak. Oh, the altitude sickness and the struggle would soon be worth it. This was a combination expedition team of Chinese and Japanese. They were supported by Sherpas who are known in the world for summiting and being knowledgeable about the highest peaks of the world. Nearby Wei and Hina was also a Sherpa guide named Tenzing, who was reassembling his bag to advance to Camp 3. Each one of them were occupied on their own way. Wei was lost at staring at the mist and Hina was observing the long stretching hills to the south of the mountain. And as Tenzing had observed many times, he was not as amazed by the mountain's beauty. The other climbers stood far away from the tree, drinking from their bottles and talking to each other about their experience so far. It was a completely horrifying and unexpected event. Whoomp! An avalanche was upon the tree. It came so fast that they were swept at once. There was nothing but white snow in front of them. The other climbers looked at horror at the now swept Wei, Hina and Tenzing. The avalanche had landed in the region the three were standing, and the other climbers were unaffected by it. They were in utter shock as they saw the three being swept away. None of them had noticed the avalanche at all, and the whole reason they noticed it was because of the loud sound. The group could not do anything at all, as they were afraid the avalanche would reach them as well. They were forced to stand there helplessly, seeing their fellow mountaineers being swept away. Where am I? The first thoughts that crossed Wei's mind as he slowly opened his eyes. His head was pounding and he had no clue where he was. Then he suddenly realized that what had happened. He had been hit by the avalanche and gone tumbling down the mountain. He was partially covered by snow and was laying down in a very difficult position. It was becoming difficult to breathe. He had to get out fast or he would be done for. He punched the snow above him and moved his arm around. Then he slowly started to haul himself up and got out. He felt like he had broken a few bones here and there. He started breathing heavily and looked around. There was nothing but snow everywhere. He suddenly remembered that Tenzing and Hina were there too. He suddenly saw a hand in the snow. He rushed over to it and grabbed it and started pulling it out. Tenzing came above, coughing and breathing heavily. Both of them searched for Hina, who was thrown down in a low, steep land and staying down helplessly. Wei was not familiar with this kind of situation. Then Tenzing had to do the job to haul Hina up. He removed the snow attached to his sleeves, then he stepped down slowly, few inches at a time. He finally approached Hina and asked, "Okay?" Though Wei was good in English and Tenzing and Hina had some working English, but her language wasn't a barrier. Their hearts were speaking for themselves. That was lucky. Thank God it wasn't a strong avalanche or we would have died, thought Tenzing while pulling Hina up. It was a difficult task because it was a steep up and on top of that the surface was very slippery. Neither Wei nor Hina said anything. Then Tenzing remembered. From the base camp only he had noticed the unwillingness of the Chinese and Japanese groups to be friendly to each other. Tenzing didn't have any idea why these both groups were unfriendly to each other. Okay, if we want to survive, then we have to work together. This isn't the time to be fooling around just because. Tenzing didn't dare complete his sentence. Wei and Hina were silent for a while, but they soon agreed with Tenzing. He soon explained that they had to get back to the camp location to get help because the people in the group were still probably there, and that was their only chance of getting help. But they soon realized that they had a major problem. One of Hina's legs was broken. They had to help her walk. Tenzing took the charge of helping Hina, and Wei helped Hina too from his side. In some occasions, Tenzing almost had to lift Hina since she was not able to control her body because of her leg. Slowly but surely they made their way up the mountain. In a while, a helicopter's whirring sound approached them. It was pretty high up, and it was there as a search party for the three the group had called. As there was so much snow around, it was difficult for the people piloting the helicopter to see the three. Hina frantically waved her hands in the hope that the helicopter would see them, but it was useless. It revolved round and round for almost an hour and turned back and left. Hina started sobbing. She was filled with the despair of not being rescued. There's no use crying. We need to do something to make them notice us. Wei took off one of his scarves he was wearing. Of course, we can use that as a signal. Great idea, Wei, said Tenzing, excited. We have to find a plain area, said Tenzing. It is hard to find a plain area where a helicopter can land, but they had to. But at least they could be rescued from there. In a while, they found a plain area. Soon the helicopter returned. It had gone to refuel in Lukla, and this time Wei waved the scarf that he had taken off. This time the people who were piloting the helicopter actually saw them. They piloted the helicopter towards their location. The rescue helicopter was familiar to rescue people from the lower area, but not from this height. So it was a scary situation when it came close to the slippery surface. So it dropped the ladder from some 10-foot height, and those three were to be picked up. One of Hina's friends who had come in the helicopter hugged her. She was waiting in Lukla for Hina to return. She explained how the rest of the climbers had called a helicopter to come help them as a search party because of being unsuccessful to find them after the avalanche. They started frantically talking to each other in Japanese. All of them flew back from the mountain back to Lukla. They were given some medical care there. The other day, when they felt like they were slowly recovering from the incident's trauma, they decided to head back to their countries. Hina needed some additional treatment in Kathmandu. Thanks, Wei. You helped me with my broken leg and all, and for that, I just want to thank you, said Hina, sounding appreciative. The real thanks should be to Tenzing. He did everything possible to help you. Both of them glanced at Tenzing, who was about to leave for the high mountain journey again. Among the three, he was the one who seemed totally unaffected by this all. Wei, Hina and her friend were to leave soon since the twin otter from Kathmandu had already landed there and was to take off very soon. Both of them shook their hands with Tenzing and he said, "Take care, I am leaving now for the same journey. An expedition gone wrong among many can't stop me," he said, pointing to the glorious mountain once again. So that's the end of Zhang Wei's story. What did you think of the story? Write down in the comment section. But before you do that, I want to tell you the takeaway of this story. The takeaway of this story is that even though you are from different countries, speak different languages, when it comes to humanity, it doesn't matter. Just help others as much as you can. So that's the main takeaway of this story. So to see my other 93 stories, make sure to subscribe my channel, 100 Stories. For now, bye!